Greetings, salutations, happy Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Welcome to Backstage, the daily show for entrepreneurs, founders, visionaries, and builders who are ready to stop waiting in the wings and let their stories power their growth. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk about friendship today and what that helps us do to get on better and bigger stages, whatever that means for you. So, yesterday, I've been struggling with kind of a topic. I'm working on a talk, and I started working on this talk, last year when I was in a different business. Now, I was also in the same business, but I had a different business entity, and I had been in a different lane, an adjacent lane in leadership development, but it was a different lane. And so all of my orientation was around feedback and trust and all of that. Now, trust is relevant to every business, but I was stuck in that lane. And it was actually in doing a talk in that lane that I realized the new lane that I wanted to pursue, and that birthed the bigger stage. All right, but here's the conundrum. There's a million talks out there, and you think to yourself, what do I have to say, right? That's original. Well, you probably have nothing original to say, but you have an original way to say it. That's typically the way these things go. So first is, kind of absolving yourself of the responsibility to become Albert Einstein. Like most of us, that's not our jam. That's not what we do. We're not coming up with a theory of relativity. We're not creating something that no one's ever heard before in that sense, but we're sharing it in a different way, much like Simon Sinek shared about the why being so important. Not a new concept, but the way that he presented it in that TEDx talk, which, by the way, was low quality in terms of, it's him and a flip chart, and then it went huge, right? So it doesn't have to be, but the way that you help someone understand a concept, that's original. That's, for the most part, that's what our opportunity is to take our experience, our perspective, our personality, and help others do something, achieve something by looking at it in a different way. All right, so don't worry, you're not going to have to come up with some new element on the scientific table, okay? So let's be freed of that. But beyond that, it's easy to get lost in our own story because we're so focused on survival, on tasks, on daily comings and goings. And this is why relationships are so important, is that when we nurture really great relationships, we have a massive mirror. We have multiple mirrors that we can hold up to ourselves. So yesterday, a colleague and dear friend of mine, I'm talking with her, and I said, I'm working on this talk. I know the general topics, but I'm struggling with my unique perspective on it. It's there, but I'm too lost in all of these other things that I'm doing. And she just looks at me and she goes, oh, well, I think, it's this, and this. And she just laid it out. Well, because of you had this experience and you did this and you value that and and that's totally it. That's that. And I'm writing furiously. Unfortunately, we weren't recording the conversation. So I'm taking traditional notes, which I have right here in my hand. And I went, yeah, of course. It's there. But if I didn't have the genuine relationships that I have, I wouldn't have the mirrors that I have. I wouldn't have someone who really sees me, sees my heart, understands my values, and can just hold it up to me when I'm lost in execution of processes and operations and business development and setting up more meetings and, prioritizing. It's very hard to keep it all together and still be really in touch with the deeper stuff. So that's what relationships do. But I want to take this a step further, because developing high trust relationships with people, and obviously if you have a spouse, hopefully you have a good relationship with your spouse. Not everybody does. And that's its own story. And so whatever your relationship landscape looks like, you can develop the kind of trusting, deep relationships that where people really see you and value you. But why do they value you? And this is just an observation I've had, is that, game recognizes game. Your closest relationships are most likely people with whom you share some critical values. And because you share those values, they see your values because they appreciate them. And when I say they appreciate them in two senses. One, they recognize them and they value them. And two, when they tell you back, when they reflect back on them and tell you that they value them, they increase the value of those values for you. They actually appreciate the value. Make sense? Your friends and your colleagues who really know you, whom you've let in, who really see you, they see your foibles, they see your weaknesses, they see your strengths, they see your heart, they see all of it. When you let people in, those people who you're closest to, you're going to have shared values. That's why you're close. Guaranteed. It just doesn't work without it. And that's why those people are the best to say, hey, either you're off track or no. Dude, you're playing small here. You're talking like someone else. The real you is this, and you've overcome this problem and that problem, and that's the story. We need that perspective. So I'm just, I'm reminded, I actually looked up some quotes because I was thinking about how this topic is just so recurring and so important. And the one that I found I found a couple of them, but one of them that really hit home was Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said or wrote, quote, "There is a sublime attraction in him to whatever virtue is in us." There's a sublime attraction in him to whatever virtue is in us. And I should say it's a gendered there. So there's a sublime attraction to them, to others, to whatever virtue is in us. And it's so true. Just remember the people closest to you, your real friends, whomever they are, you share values and they are a mirror. So who can you reach out to today and just say, hey, give me some perspective on this? And I guarantee you'll get some great perspective. It's right under your nose. It's quote unquote obvious, but it might be obscured because, let's face it, life is complicated and noisy and busy. And meditation is good. There's other ways, but we also need other people. All right, that's my inspiration for today. I hope it's helpful. Who can you reach out to today? What insight do you need to power your next move? Listen, please share this with someone else who's a builder, a visionary, someone growing who needs a little bit of inspiration. And as always, be good to yourself and others, and we will check back again with you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.